evening and welcome to 27 Minutes here on WJTS 27. I'm Kurt Gutgsell. The Greater Jasper School Board and the Jasper Common Council met earlier this week at a joint session to hear a presentation from a housing development firm interested in the former Jasper Middle School.
I want to thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to come in and speak with you. We are excited about the possibilities of what we might be able to do for this local community. I know that you've been through a lot. You've been through several years with another developer. We are fundamentally, I don't know too much about the other developer. I really don't care too much. I can tell you what we do, and I think what we're doing is fundamentally different in terms of our approach and how we're doing it and why we're doing it than what any other developer may have been involved in. Live stream, as Art, I heard your name was Sonny. I'm starting to know the community. I'm going to start calling you Sonny. He's always had me call me Art up until now. That's the mayor's fault, by the way. Live stream is an area agency on aging. We're part of a nationwide network of area agencies on aging. There's about 650 throughout the nation. There's an area agency on aging that provides services in every county in the nation. There are 16 area agencies on aging in the United States, or in Indiana. Area 13, Generations, is the one that the attorney was talking about. We're similar to Generations in terms of what we do, the basic core services through the Older Americans Act. There are certain services that all area agencies provide. We're all different, but we have a similar core services. And as you were told, Ann Jacoby, the executive director of Area 13, is fully aware of who we are, what we're doing, why we're here. In fact, I know Ann quite well. In fact, those of you that know her, just yesterday she announced her retirement. And that will be sad for the state of Indiana. But what a legacy. I think she's been there in that position for like 30 years. She's going to retire this spring, along with her husband, who's going to be retiring also, as I understand. Our mission at Livestream Services is very simply to improve the quality of life for people at risk of losing their independence. That is the only reason we exist. Area 6, Livestream, provides services to these 7 counties here. You're located in Yorktown, outside of Muncie in Delaware County, and provide the area, or the administration on aging core services to the 7 counties, Delaware and the 6 surrounding counties. We have 5 satellite offices, as you can see in this map here. Our services that we provide include, first of all, we are the rural public mass transportation provider in all 7 counties that we serve. We are looking to expand to an 8th county very soon. We are the area's 211 call center. Do you know what 211 is? Apparently Ann's done her job. It's her job to make sure people know that. 211, you pick up the phone anytime during the day or night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with a human service, social service type of issue. You can call there and they will get you referred to where you need to go to get your issues dealt with. We are that provider in our area for our county, or for our 7 areas. We do a mobile meals program, home delivered meals. We provide nutrition sites. We have 10 senior cafes. And there's been a question about whether or not we might have food service available in this property. And one thing, I won't make any promises about what we're going to do. I just can't do that. But I can tell you that in other apartment complexes we put up like this, we have worked with the local area agency on aging, which is normally ourselves, that was easy to work with, to establish a nutrition site so that meals can be delivered and provided not only for the residents, the senior residents, and this is affordable housing for seniors. It is for seniors. Food, hot food for them, as well as other people within the local community. The basic core of what we do, or any other area agency on aging does, is care management. It's interesting for me, I spent 22 years working in continuing care retirement communities. I spent 22 years getting people moved into retirement communities with a nursing home. Now it's kind of like I've jumped ship on the other side of the fence, and now I'm doing everything I can to keep people out of nursing homes. We will work with our clients to do whatever we need to do, whatever they need to do to live where they wish to live, to improve the quality of life for people at risk of losing their independence. We arrange for homemaker services. We can rehab a home to make it easier for them to get around in. We can provide nursing services in that home, whatever that client needs to help them stay at home for as long as they wish, rather than going into a nursing home. It's exciting for me. We have a guardianship program. We take care of people both on a Medicaid basis and private pay basis. We have health and wellness programs. We have Angel Works. It's a volunteer program. We currently have about 400 volunteers working with us in the 7 counties we serve. An important part of what we do is advocacy. Somebody has to speak up for the seniors of this world, and that's the job of the area agencies on aging. That's as identified by Federal Administration on Aging requirements. We are an advocate. We also have a caregiver program. There's a lot of people who are taking care of parents and don't even know there's a name for it. That's called a caregiver. And we provide services to them because that can be difficult and stressful. The other thing that we do, not last but not least here, is housing. Besides the 7 counties I talked about, these are the counties in which we currently have or are working on housing projects for quality housing development. It's our basic 7 areas plus a few other counties. We are now, for the first time, starting to expand beyond those core 7 counties we serve and go into other areas because other area agencies on aging, some of them are not involved in housing. And the need for housing, for senior housing, the need for affordable senior housing, the need for quality affordable senior housing is great and gets greater day by day. I don't think I need to tell you about the demographics about aging kinds of issues. You know, there's plenty of us baby boomers getting older every day, and the need for services is skyrocketing. Livestream, as an area agency on aging, has 3 basic core values: integrity, respect, and quality. And I need to share with you that our mission statement and our core values is something that we take very, very, very seriously. Accreditation in terms of quality. We believe, the very first area agency on aging in the entire nation to be accredited by the Council on Accreditation, which basically is a mark of excellence for that agency in terms of what they do. We take these 3 core values very seriously. Let me give you just a real quick example. Funding from state and federal government is remaining pretty much stagnant. The number of potential clients, is increasing. Well, we recently had a decision we had to make in terms of our nutrition services. We sent an RFP out to vendors. A contract was coming up, and we need to send an RFP out. And proposals came in so that we could do more meals for less money, and that sounded good. But that required us delivering 5, 7, 14 frozen meals once a week. And from a cost point of view, that looked good. But we also realized, as we took a look, we spoke to our advisory council on this, that the clients we are serving, first of all, probably wouldn't eat a frozen meal if we gave it to them. And they would miss, and this is important, they would miss that daily social contact with somebody on the outside. A lot of our clients are homebound, that's why they're getting home meals. Nobody comes to visit, and the only contact that they have is us. So we could have made a smart decision from a financial point of view and gone to frozen meals, or maintained the core values of our program of integrity, quality, and respect. We went with the hot meals, even though it was more expensive. The core values are important to us in all that we do. A time frame, and I cannot promise anything. All I can tell you is what the ideal time frame is and how this has actually worked in other projects. If we were to get a go-ahead and do something now, you would submit the application in March of 2009. The Indiana Housing Community Development Authority would award tax credits in June, and if we were fortunate enough, and we've always had a good record, there's no guarantee, that we would get awarded in June of 2009. It normally takes about 6 months for us to put together financing for the project. So in December of 2009, and during that time, the architect would be doing their work and so on, we would be able to start swinging hammers, as they say, and it takes about 1 year normally for a project to get completed. So we're looking at, if a decision is made soon, this would open up in December 2010.
Also this week, the Dubois County Airport Authority met as well.
We did come to at least our recommendation that that the original 927 go forward, as it already has, really, for a full level 3 analysis that actually goes into the environmental conclusions. But we did recommend potentially a second alternative to go as a secondary alternative to go for level 3 analysis at this point in time. There was a configuration by the 725, which is a slight twist to the existing orientation. If we're standing out here facing north, that orientation is just slightly like this, so it's going counterclockwise to the north as a secondary alternative for consideration. And the reason was for this is because it really stayed away from some of the significant impacts, or it lessened some of the significant impacts that were identified in the original preferred alternative. Now, that's not to say that we didn't like any other alternative. For example, 523, Mel, the one that was proposed that would not be dependent on the US 231, is of a preference, but we really need to know if US 231 is going to go forward or not. Because that would shift the change in the cost of the projects between the two alternatives I've described previously. And that would absolutely change the need of and the proposed project such that that is the best alternative. Okay? So after I got through with this review, I made some conclusions, and I did receive some comments to the board. And what I really need to discuss with the board tonight is looking at that secondary alternative and looking at 523, and I would like the board to consider tonight if there is a preference for a secondary alternative to go forward in a level 3 analysis, and including the potential for that 523 should there be a change to the US 231, or a change in NDOT's perspective on how they will deal with US 231, because that will have a big impact to how we will actually look at this project in its entirety.
Chris, and just to clarify the things that I've discussed with you on the phone, the alternate that's listed as the primary alternate, which is 2C number 6, correct?
That's correct.
That's the one that is the same configuration we have now, 927. It's offset to the north and extends to the west, cuts across the existing 231, and impacts Mr. Rain's farm primarily.
Mm-hmm.
That is listed as the primary alternate, mainly because it's the cheapest alternative, correct?
Right now it is shown to be the cheapest alternative.
And if the board were to select another alternative and request that it be the primary, if that alternative is chosen, but it's more expensive, who's liable for the overages, the extra cost?
The sponsor is liable for all the costs that's over the cheapest alternative.
So if we chose another alternative and it was, say, $5 million more expensive than that alternative, and they picked that one, then the sponsor, us, the county, would have to come up with a $5 million overage.
That's correct. And just to clarify one other thing too, that you can still select a different preferred alternative. I'd love to make things confusing, but you can do that as long as you understand and you make a public statement saying you're still only going to provide the cheap to the least expensive alternative. Okay, it's like, for example, you could say we really like this alternative better, but if we have to pick, we would pick the least expensive alternative. And that way, the FAA understands that you're going to fulfill your obligation to the least expensive alternative, and they will pay attention to the one that you've at least identified, and maybe they'll say, hey, maybe we missed something in this alternative. Is there something that we're not seeing here that we should take, interest in? So.
Okay, so in that scenario, the FAA would either be only holding you responsible for up to the least expensive alternative price,
Yeah.
and not requiring you to pay the overage.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. You went by telling me that you're still going to do the least expensive alternative. When it comes time to the final selection, you will select the least expensive alternative. So you're not going to do your preferred alternative, if you will.
Okay.
Okay?
When and who determines those costs? Which is the least expensive alternative?
Well, we do that in the evaluation process. If we get down to 2, we will do a detailed cost analysis. We actually compare line item from line item. We'll do a cost comparison right on the right-hand side, and we'll say, this has the same line items, and we'll just change quantities, and we change unit costs. And that's the basis of evaluation between the 2 of them. And the FAA reviews that data and makes a determination if they accept those costs or not.
I personally don't have any problem with 4B.
Yeah, and 4B, which is a 422 shift, so it's another couple of angles off that 725 that keeps a rotation off of about the County Road 900 in US 231 intersection. It just has a lot more road impact to keep the traffic surface moving, and it does actually still get into the farmland, and it's still getting into a cost issue because of the floodplain and the elevations that we're dealing with. So while we kind of cut it down by pulling it south, we added to it because we were putting in more roadway infrastructure, if you will. So.
Well, I really didn't understand 422 the way you had it presented. It would appear to me that 422 would have been a lot easier to reroute the existing 231 than it would be the other one. 4A.
Yeah.
I forgot what page that is.
Oh, you mean just make it a bump around it like you did in the other one?
That's 4B, and here's 4A. No, I don't like 4A.
Yeah, that was the 725. If you could flip it real quick.
Which way?
Yeah, right here to this one.
Okay. 4B. So, 3A is the other one that I think is reasonable, but the way you've got it shown on 4B, I can't see why that would be any different than the 3A option, which has the minimal 231 reroute. Here. I don't see a tremendous amount of difference between the two.
You're saying between 4B and 3A? You
Yeah.
see the change? As far as the highway routing?
Yeah, as far as how you reroute 231, it could be done just as easily, it would seem to me.
Well, didn't we discuss that one time, Chris? Wasn't it the curvature or something?
I'm sorry, can I look at it again real quick?
I'm just looking at it. It just,
Yep.
that ends there, and the runway ends there on this one, and just down here, you're actually moving it more this way.
Yeah.
It would seem to me that if I was to scale this distance here and lay it on there, it wouldn't be hardly any difference.
Well, David, I'd have to disagree a little bit. I would have to say that that's actually going to be more significant than you think, because of the fact. We go back to this one. That runway end is actually pulled up a lot closer to the existing US 231, and this one is actually bumped out a little further than the other one. This actually is coming out further, and what I mean is it goes all the way around and out to here with that runway safety area. So the significance of that would actually be all the way out here, if you will, to get it all the way back.
Well, you start up here. You got to get outside of that area right there.
Well, you actually have to clear the approach too. So if you were to do this, I think it would be about double the length. I mean, I really do. It would be about double the length of the realignment of a 523. Because there's more clearance you have to make there with the approach on that front end than it can appear. This is actually pretty tight right there to begin with the proposed County Road 950 South. So I would say that would even have to be studied to determine its validity. Because that road could actually get pushed out further down just because it's clear the
Now, the one downside to this, it would appear that the hanger anchor on the end might be in jeopardy.
That's correct. And if we save the hanger, you end up pushing that out that way, which just makes
More road.
Yeah.
Chris, is it next May? I'm sorry, you doing?
That's I'm pretty.
Yes.
Chris, is it next May when we can expect to have any kind of indication of what they're going to do with the new reroute 231?
It's probably sometime going to be late this year. It was supposed to be this year. We kind of knew, even talking to the EA preparer, that it would probably be sometime next year. That's when I imagine they know. But it's not so much important when they finish the EIS. It's more important when they know they're going to actually fund the project. And that's something I think they're trying to establish yet this year. So we should have something on that, I would imagine, before the end of this year.
Do you also add in the 4A and 4B as further study, field study? Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
The high school football season begins a week from tonight for most teams. Jasper is scrimmaging this evening at Evansville North. Jasper head coach Tony Ahrens talks about the Wildcat preseason so far.
Yeah, you know, coming into this season and always facing two-a-days, and the conditions, the weather have been great, so we've been able to accomplish quite a lot of things. And of course, coming off a 9-3 season and having a young team last year, and getting into a preseason like we have has been able to allowed us to do a lot of things.
As a new group comes in, what was the big point of emphasis, or 2 or 3 things that you really had to work on here in camp?
Well, we want to improve our defensive speed. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's just getting a defense on the field that can just flat run people down when it's necessary. And then obviously try to get our kids in shape for the early part of the season is critical. And just create an offense maybe that might be a little bit more effective as far as a threat at all times to score.
Well, you get to hit somebody else. You're going to have your scrimmage on Friday night. What are you looking for out of that?
Well, we go down to North, and that'll be at Central Stadium. And of course, North last year when we scrimmaged them, they had a extremely fast defensive front, which created a lot of problems for us, and that's going to be good for our kids, particularly our line of scrimmage. So North, being a 5A school, a big school, and having a lot of good kids down there is going to provide us a tough challenge.
While everybody else opens up next Friday night, the Wildcats will have to wait a night until next Saturday when they travel to Evansville Memorial to take on the Tigers. You can see Jasper High School football every week here on WJTS 27. That will wrap up this edition of 27 Minutes here on WJTS 27. For the entire crew, I'm Kurt Gutgsell. Have a great night.